It's Laura with ELB Consulting. We're going to talk a little bit about how to stretch some of the tight hips by using a chair. We all have tight hips depending on if we walk, if we run, if we swim, or just sit on a couch and read a book, or as we age. Our hips get very tight. So one of the easiest ways to do gentle stretching is by having a chair. And I'm going to show you 3 stretches that are really going to open up the hips. Oftentimes when we stretch the hips, we only stretch the front or we only stretch the back. We need to open up all 3 sides of the hips. We want to open up in the front, we want to open to the sides, and we also want to open to the back of the hips. And that way, we're able to really get deep into the hips and really open them up. So the very first thing is you're going to stand behind your chair and just pretend, I'm going to turn to you so you can see me, but just pretend I'm facing the chair. The first thing we're going to do is we want to open up the bigger muscles in the back of the hips. So we're going to do a figure 4 stretch. You're going to take your right ankle, you can cross it over the left ankle, or you can cross it over that right knee, and you're going to open up that right hip towards the side. And already some of you may feel a popping sensation in that right hip, like I already did, but I have tight hips. Now, you're going to notice that when you stand into a figure 4 stretch, you may already sink into this left hip. So you're going to want to straighten out these hips by shifting your weight a little bit towards your right. So you want your hips right over that left ankle, and then you're going to slowly bring the hips straight back behind you. And you're going to hold the stretch for 20 seconds. So I'll show you from the side. The right ankle is on top of that left knee. You're going to open up that right knee. You're going to shift the weight to your right so that you're grounding in the middle of the foot, and then you're going to slowly sink the hips down. So in a figure 4 stretch, you do want to keep your chest up, and you want to turn your core in to flatten the back. Sometimes a lot of us will round our back over the chair, and that's a great stretch for the back, but not our hips. So you want to turn the belly in, sink the hips low, and really try to straighten out these hips to face the back of your chair. So you're not too far to the left and you're not too far to the right. You're just turning the belly in. You're going to hold. You're going to hold it for 20 seconds, and then you're going to slowly stand up, and we'll switch it to the other side. We're going to take the left ankle, and you can bring it over that right ankle if your hips are too tight, and you can bend at the hip, turn that belly in, open up that left knee, shift towards the left. So you're out of that right hip. So this is a gentler figure 4 stretch, or you can bring that left knee up, left ankle up on the right knee, and sit back into a figure 4 stretch. So this is stretching the glutes, the back area, and also then the hamstring. So hold each side for 20 seconds. Okay? So then we'll slowly stand up out of the figure 4 stretch, and the next one is we're going to do a runner pose. So you can bring your hands to the back of the chair. You're going to step your right foot forward. We're going to bend both knees, but particularly that left knee, down towards the ground. And then we're going to shift slightly forward into that right knee. The right knee will go slightly over your right toes, so you're pushing your hips forward and you're drawing that left knee down at the same time. So you're going to feel this stretch in the front left hip flexor. So we first stretched our back with the figure 4 stretch, and now we're going to stretch more the front of the hip in the hip flexor. That's usually very tight for people who sit all day in working, or they're reading a book or sewing or whatever you may do. Or even if you run, you may have tight hip flexors. So this one really opens it up. You're going to slowly stand up out of that left knee, bring that left leg forward, and we're going to switch it to the other side. So you're going to take this right foot back, bend both knees, take the right knee down to the ground. The hips are facing the back of your chair, and then we're going to shift the weight slightly forward, tighten up the core, turn the belly in, and you'll feel the stretch down that right hip flexor in the front. And you're going to hold each of these stretches for 20 seconds. And you'll notice that that back leg may shake a little bit or that knee may hurt. Gentle, nothing too painful, no tightness or pulling. You don't want pulling on the knee. You're just going to hold for 20 seconds. And then we're going to slowly straighten that right knee and then shift that right leg up to the left. Okay, so first, figure 4 stretch, back of the hip. Then we did the runner pose or a lunge. Shift the weight forward for hip flexors in the front. Now we're going to go to inside the hip socket and towards the outer sides of the hip. So, you're going to bring your hands on the back of the chair. You're going to bring the right foot up parallel to the ground. If you cannot do this, you can bring your right toes down to the ground. This works or this works, okay? You're going to flex the right toes. You're going to bring your forearm on the back of your chair. You're going to take your right hand and you're going to bring it up to your hips, your right hip. And then you're going to open and face the hips towards your right. And then you're going to bring that right hip down. I call this hip flossing. So you're taking that hip socket and you're gently turning it inside, just to open it up a little bit. So you're just lifting this right hip up and you're lowering that right hip parallel to the ground. The core is tight so that you are protecting your lower back and you are not arching it. And you're just going to do this, 10 times, maybe 20 if you have a stronger hip. And you'll feel this in the standing leg. You'll feel this in the left side, right outside the outer hip. Try to keep that right leg strong with that flexed foot. And then we'll slowly lower that right hip down and bring that right leg down. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to bring your right forearm to the chair. Bring the left toe to the ground or up parallel to the ground. You're going to bring your left hand to the left hip. And then you're going to stagger, roll that left hip back. And then bring the left hip parallel to the ground. And do this either about 10 times, whatever's comfortable for you. And you're just creating space into the hip. It's a gentle stretch, nothing too painful. Just moving that hip up and down. And this is stretching the inside as well as the outside. And then when you feel like you've done enough, lower that left hip down parallel to the ground and bring that left leg in. And those are 3 gentle hip exercises that you can do to open up the back of the hip, the side of the hip, and the front of the hip. We want to open all 3 sides to open the hips and to feel a difference when we walk or we run or we sit and we don't have so many hip pains and knee pains. So just to review, we have our figure 4 stretch. This was stretch 1. Our second stretch was a runner stretch, where that back knee is bent, shift the weight forward. And then lastly, we have hip flossing, which is opening that right hip up and bringing it down. 3 gentle stretches that you can do with or without a chair to really help open up your hips. If you have any other questions or would like me to discuss any other muscle to help open up and release on the body, please feel free to comment below. You can like my Facebook page, ELB Consulting, Instagram, YouTube channel, ELB Consulting. But in the meantime, enjoy your beautiful day and have a happy day. Bye.